Caitlyn Clark actually refused to play for Team USA for the 3x3 basketball team.
Example is Jamel Hill. She's a contributing writer for The Atlantic. Jamel said, quote, "People need to stop panicking and putting so much weight on every single decision. The WNBA is going to have Caitlyn Clark for a long time. The league isn't going to fall off a cliff if she's not on the team."
She was the name on everyone's lips, the face of a movement reshaping the sport. Yet somehow, Team USA still left her off the Olympic 5-on-5 lineup.
What's your opinion on this subject matter?
Well, I've given it over the last 60 hours. I broke the news. I think on both fronts, merit and publicity, it's just a total swing and a miss by the national governing body, by USA Basketball. Just a missed opportunity.
They then offered her
sliding her a spot on the 3v3 squad, but Caitlyn Clark turned it down without hesitation. It wasn't pride, it was principle. This wasn't just rejection. It was a power move. For the first time, she was seizing control of her own narrative.
Caitlyn Clark is the star player of the WNBA.
The most popular woman ever in the WNBA, Caitlyn Clark.
No comparison to Caitlyn Clark. Caitlyn Clark is the most watched basketball player in world basketball right now.
How special and rare Caitlyn Clark is.
Caitlyn Clark is a gifted player.
Caitlyn is the one.
She's the biggest basketball star in the world.
There's nobody that does what Caitlyn Clark does.
Please leave a 100%
CC in the comments section if you're riding with Caitlyn. If you're standing with the player who refuses to be sidelined, who refuses to play by anyone else's script, and who's proving she won't back down when the sport
fighting with
needs her the
Caitlyn.
most.
Did you put Caitlyn Clark on the Olympic team?
Right now?
No, this past Olympic team.
Honestly, I have to just say that I respected the committee's job. I understood what was at play. I understood the pros and the cons, I guess, if you want to lay it out that way. And I think at the end of the day, it's hard to criticize a gold medal. A lot of people see the final game against France. They see, only winning by a couple points, and they view that as some sort of indicator. But the reality is we've been having close games at the Olympics for years. I can attest to that. So that wasn't really that new. Winning a close game like that wasn't new. That didn't have anything to do with it.
The internet news broke that Caitlyn Clark had turned down Team USA's offer to play in the 3-on-3 Olympic event. To some, it looked like a diva move, bold, dramatic, even defiant. But the reaction online was nothing short of chaos.
Ford are pretty much saying that Caitlyn actually refused to play in the 3-on-3 tournament.
However, a closer look shows this had nothing to do with ego. It was about standing up for herself after being disrespected on the international stage. Multiple sources, including a stunning excerpt from Christine Brennan's upcoming book, revealed that USA Basketball never intended to put Clark on the Elite 5 on 5 Olympic roster.
5 Olympic teams.
Christine Brennan really holds the WA accountable, and she says the league was simply not prepared for and didn't.
She wasn't chosen.
She was not.
She was the most talked about athlete in women's basketball. And instead they returned with what felt like a consolation prize, a spot on the 3x3 team, a format she doesn't even play, scheduled in a way that would force her to miss crucial WNBA games
due to the fever.
It seems like she was offered a chance to play in the 3v3 and said no, and they were pissed off at that. Did Caitlyn want to go to Paris for the 3v3 team? The answer from Clark and her team was simple: no. She did not want to go to Paris.
To be honest, it wasn't a real offer at all. It was bait. A calculated PR move designed to protect Team USA from backlash after cutting the most popular player in the sport. But Clark and her team didn't fall for it. When reporters asked if she wanted to go to Paris with the 3x3 squad, her answer was simple and sharp. No. She turned it down without a hint of hesitation.
We're asking, was it a possibility? And do you want to know what the answer is? No. The answer
is a rewritten version with suspense, clarity, and emotion. Same meaning, tighter delivery, more impact. It's not entirely accurate to say she declined to compete in the Olympics. What really happened is she declined to be used. She refused to be thrown in at the last minute just so Team USA.
To be eligible for the 3-on-3 team in the Olympics, you have to be ranked in the top. It's like you need 2 players ranked in the top 10 of your country, and you need 2 players ranked in the top 50 of your country. Caitlyn Clark never played a 3-on-3 tournament.
Why should she when it's convenient for them, after they didn't want her when it counted the most? Here's the real irony. Clark was never even officially qualified. She hadn't played in the 3x3 qualifying tournaments that would have put her among the elite few eligible for the Olympics. To even make it, she would have had to chase points in obscure international events, potentially missing WNBA games, just to even qualify.
Christine Brennan, new book on her game, Caitlyn Clark and the revolution in women's basketball. Well, women's sports. Caitlyn Clark turned down a chance to play for the USA 3-on-3 Olympic team after being left off the USA national team.
Something no player of her caliber should ever be forced to do. So while the media spun it as Caitlyn turning down the chance to represent her country, the reality is far different. They set her up to fail.
What's your opinion on this subject matter?
Well, I've given it over the last 60 hours. I broke the news. I think on both fronts, merit and publicity, it's just a total swing and a miss by the national governing body, by USA Basketball. Just a missed opportunity. You put Caitlyn Clark on that team, and every single one of those guys that can't stand women's basketball are running to watch that team. British journalist came up and said he couldn't wait to cover Caitlyn Clark. One of the concerns about Caitlyn, the concern was that if she's on the team and only plays a few minutes, that the outcry and the uproar in the United States from her fans, millions and millions of fans, of course, which, by the way, that's a good thing for the WNBA.
They gave her an unattainable path and then turned around, labeling her unpatriotic for simply making her own choices. But Caitlyn Clark refused to back down. She didn't beg. She said no. And that refusal spoke louder than any press release ever could.
I don't think that there was ever a chance of her making the 5v5, and I don't know why there was ever that hope being given to her and that hope being given to fans. It was just a string of luck.
The absence of Caitlyn from Team USA's Olympic 5-on-5 roster wasn't a fluke. It was deliberate. The picture becomes clear when you trace the trail of leaked conversations, Christine Brennan's revealing book excerpts, and the way media insiders have openly discussed it. The truth is simple. Want her there.
Clark turned down a chance to play for the USA 3-on-3 Olympic team after being left off the USA national team.
Fans believed Clark, arguably the biggest name in women's basketball right now, would be an automatic pick once Olympic selections began. She sold out arenas, reignited fan excitement, and gave the WNBA the spotlight it had been chasing for decades. Yet when the final roster dropped, her name was nowhere to be found.
They didn't want her. I don't know if they wanted Caitlyn Clark. They either didn't want Caitlyn Clark to play or didn't want Caitlyn Clark the person. We don't know. They didn't want
5-on-5 versus not even a last-minute spot. Why? According to Brennan's book, it had nothing to do with skill, teamwork, or experience. Preference, more accurately politics, was the deciding factor. One chilling passage says it all. She was not wanted. No rhyme, no reason. Simply put, they didn't want her. Simply put, they didn't want her.
Clark is the needle mover.
She is the needle mover.
She is the franchise player.
And she was the MVP. She is the main draw.
She wasn't the one who was full sprinting down the court.
No matter how many the committee threw out, chemistry, experience, her still developing pro game, it was obvious something deeper was at play. It wasn't that Clark lacked talent. She simply didn't fit the agenda. That's why behind-the-scenes forces were working to keep her off the team, whether it was jealousy from veterans, discomfort with the spotlight she commands, or resistance to her reshaping the narrative of women's basketball.
Seems to be resentment of Caitlyn Clark bringing the eyeballs in. And the thing that's the biggest head scratch is I don't think it's because of what she's saying or how she's carrying herself.
There is no one in the WNBA that has received that. Not Taurasi, not Jewel Lloyd, not Kelsey Plum, not Inescu, none of them. What does that mean? That means she's the most important player in the league. She's not the best player in the league, not yet, maybe never, who knows, but she's the most important because...
And when the public Team USA hit and fans demanded answers about why the league's most popular player was left off, Team USA didn't double down on their original decision. Instead, they scrambled to make it look right, offering her a spot on the 3x3 squad, even though they knew she wasn't qualified.
Yeah, I think it was best for both, and I said that at the time. I thought she had played a lot of basketball. I think she was tired. She needed a break. I didn't think she earned it, and there were other players who probably were in front of her who didn't make it as well. I'm going to guess she'll probably be on the next Olympic team. Just guess.
To even be eligible for 3x3, Clark would have needed a ranking based on prior 3x3 results, which she didn't have. That meant playing in multiple qualifying tournaments during the WNBA season, missing fever games, and scrambling to climb the rankings in time. In other words, they were asking her to risk her season, her team, and her health for a version of basketball she had never competed in professionally.
Scored 32, dished out 9 assists to become the first player in WNBA history to have 100 points, 30 rebounds, 30 assists in a player's first 5 games of a season.
That was a trap. If she accepted, she'd be accused of abandoning her WNBA team. If she refused, they'd spin it as turning her back on the nation. And that's exactly what happened. But Caitlyn Clark saw through it. She refused to play their game. She didn't step into a system designed to consume her. The 3x3 offer wasn't the only factor in her decision to decline. Making a statement mattered. She isn't here to play politics or be a token. There's more beneath the surface than simple exclusion. Resentment is real. Caitlyn Clark isn't just a player. She's a disruptor.
She was the one who actually shared this post from Yahoo's.
Her rise shifted the balance of power, pulled the spotlight away from long-established league veterans, and put pressure on institutions unaccustomed to scrutiny. Her presence forces a conversation about who really controls women's basketball, merit or favoritism. They didn't want her on Team USA. Now, she's leading a much bigger revolution, one that doesn't need their approval. And if you think this is the end of the story, think again. Caitlyn Clark is writing her own real-time comeback while Team USA tried to sideline her.
The whole Team USA discourse was a large part of the first half of Caitlyn Clark's season. And then it didn't stop when Team USA almost lost the Olympics.
Her rise shifted the balance of power, pulled the spotlight away from long-established league veterans, and put pressure on institutions unaccustomed to scrutiny. Her presence forces a conversation about who really controls women's basketball, merit or favoritism. They didn't want her on Team USA. Now, she's leading a much bigger revolution, one that doesn't need their approval. And if you think this is the end of the story, think again. Caitlyn Clark is writing her own real-time comeback while Team USA tried to sideline her. Caitlyn Clark may have been left off Team USA's Olympic roster, but make no mistake, they didn't silence her. In fact, what they set off might have been even more powerful. A public reckoning because Caitlyn chose to take control where it mattered, on her own terms in front of the fans on the court, rather than seeking approval from a system that had rejected her. This wasn't just an Olympic snub anymore. It became a magnifying glass on how sudden shifts can threaten established power structures in women's sports. Caitlyn didn't wait her turn. She commanded attention, and that unsettled some in the old guard. Not because she wasn't capable, she clearly is, but because they weren't ready for the change she represents. When the Olympics came, they offered her a backup spot in 3x3 instead of a 5-on-5 position, a spot she wasn't even qualified for without skipping WNBA games.